5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hi guys, welcome to my new series called The Booking Of, and in this episode we are going to be booking the main event of WrestleMania 35. First off, we're going to stick with the theory that the main event of WrestleMania this year will be a women's match. Here's the match I would book and how I would book it. Alright, so the first thing I would do is I would keep Charlotte and Becky Lynch off TLC. It's just so that Ronda can't get to them, and it keeps that storyline going into a more major pay-per-view, which is Royal Rumble after TLC. And then also at that pay-per-view, let's face it, Ronda Rousey needs to beat Nia Jax. Alright, so we're going to start off with Raw here. So the following night after TLC, Ronda Rousey is going to approach Stephanie McMahon and demand a shot at Charlotte. Stephanie McMahon denies that request and tells Ronda that she cannot fight anyone off of SmackDown outside Survivor Series pay-per-view. This infuriates Ronda, but where she vacates her title and demands that she get a shot at Charlotte. Stephanie McMahon feeling like she's gotten one up on Ronda because they got a long feud dating back years. Takes the vacated title. She has no problem with it. And I think being with Ronda Rousey's character, I think her showing it like herself as a rebel, or just being a badass in this scenario fits her personality. I don't think Ronda needs a title for Ronda to sell, to be honest. It's more WWE trying to sell their product by putting a title on her versus the other way around. Like Ronda will carry storylines just being Ronda Rousey. And like I said, she doesn't need a title to even headline WrestleMania, to be honest. And then I think the weeks leading up to Royal Rumble, Ronda Rousey could have a good storyline against Stephanie McMahon where Ronda's trying to get into the Royal Rumble match. Stephanie keeps putting roadblocks in her way, but eventually Ronda Rousey does earn a spot in the Women's Royal Rumble. The option there is here, and I don't think it's needed, but I'm going to throw it out there, is where Stephanie forces Ronda Rousey to enter in at number 1 in the Royal Rumble. Here's the reasons why I'm not sure this is the good direction to go. I mean, it would add to the storyline and make sense. I don't think it's needed because I don't think Ronda Rousey winning from the number 1 spot is needed in this case. Also, having a woman win from the number 1 spot, I believe, should be reserved for more time when it's least expected. And I think this Royal Rumble will be more predictable with Ronda Rousey winning because obviously that's the storyline we're trying to tell. So it makes it a little bit more predictable. And so that's why I think that winning from number 1 would just add a little bit more salt to the crowd and make them a little salty about the whole situation, to be honest. So, all right, so let's move on to SmackDown. All right, so on the SmackDown side of things, Becky Lynch and Charlotte are scheduled for a match at the Royal Rumble. Now with the new heel-face dynamic where Charlotte's the heel, Becky's the face, will bring a kind of a freshness to this match that's kind of been done a lot recently, but I think it's the only way SmackDown and WWE in general can go with this storyline, given the fact of the way things took place. Alright, so now we're at the Royal Rumble. I believe the Women's Rumble should go on early. It should be the first thing on the pay-per-view, to be honest, if you ask me. So it comes down to, we don't really need to go over the details, so basically it comes down to the final two, which is Ronda Rousey and Nia Jax. So, I don't know who vacates the title to, if Alexa Bliss goes back to being active or whatever, but it doesn't really matter for this storyline. But I think it's coming down to Ronda Rousey and Nia Jax. The reason why I say Nia Jax is because she's the most hated person, or not the hatedest person, she might be the most hated person for all I know, but she's definitely the biggest heel in the women's division following that Becky Lynch debacle. So I think it's the best way for when Ronda gets her win to get a pop instead of getting booed, because sometimes predictability, the fans don't like that and they boo the heck out of someone. So to get Ronda that pop, she has to eliminate Nia Jax last. I just can't see that happening any other way. Alright, then I have like Renee Young, Corey Graves, something like that go into the ring and interview Ronda and ask her which title she wants to go for, kind of like how they did to Shinsuke Nakamura last year. And have her say nothing. I mean, that says a lot when says nothing. I mean, the crowd's going to anticipate, calling out Becky Lynch, who is currently the women's champion on SmackDown, and getting her revenge. But she says nothing. She just stares down Corey Graves, Renee Young, whoever it is, and then just walks right back up the ring. All right, now we're going to move into later in the night where Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair have their one-on-one match. They're having a great match, no doubt about it. And it gets to the point, it's getting to like this climax point where the crowd's going crazy, bunch of near falls. And just as these two are like in the ring, staring at each other, tired, exhausted, Ronda Rousey's music hits. She comes running out. They both bolt outside the ring into the crowd. And the referee has no choice but to start the count out. And they both get count out, avoiding Ronda Rousey, ending in a draw. So Ronda's a little upset because she didn't get her hands on him. She didn't get her revenge. She didn't get revenge for Becky's attack with her in that Raw invasion angle. She didn't get her revenge on Charlotte for the beatdown she gave her at Survivor Series. So she grabs a mic and announces that she will take on, and she doesn't care who the women's champion is come WrestleMania, but whoever it is, they got a date with the baddest woman on the planet. Alright, so following the Royal Rumble, Stephanie McMahon next night on Raw comes out. She's upset with Ronda for challenging the SmackDown Women's Champion instead of the Raw Women's Champion. The story that they need to be able to tell without actually coming out and saying it is that Stephanie's a little upset that she could be losing her biggest superstar on her brand to SmackDown if Ronda would end up winning the SmackDown Women's title. So Stephanie starts stacking the decks against Ronda because obviously she needs Ronda weak so she cannot win the SmackDown title come WrestleMania. Alright, so the SmackDown following the pay-per-view, Shane McMahon comes out. He's a little upset himself because he feels like the WWE Universe got cheated out of a great match between Becky and Charlotte. So he decides he's going to up the ante. So he announces at Elimination Chamber, Becky Lynch will defend her title against Charlotte in an Elimination Chamber match. Now, I could throw in 4 random names here to be in the match with them, but they're not really going to be important to the storyline. I think it's just great that other superstars get their chance at the spotlight to be featured on a pay-per-view and get a chance to be seen by the WWE Universe, and I think that's good enough there. I don't think 4 particular superstars add value to this storyline. Alright, so the go-home show on Raw, we see Stephanie McMahon confront Ronda and basically add the stipulation that she has a match Elimination Chamber, and if she loses this match Elimination Chamber, she has to forfeits her number 1 contendership to the whatever title of her choosing from the Royal Rumble. So she books her in a match. It's a 3-on-3 match. It's basically Ronda and 2 partners of her choosing versus the Riot Squad. And then you see following this that Stephanie McMahon addresses the women's locker room and she tells them that if any woman on the Raw brand comes to Ronda's aid during this match or teams with Ronda during this match, will be fired. Alright, so first up at the Elimination Chamber is the Ronda versus Riot Squad match. So we had the Riot Squad come out first, and then Ronda comes out second. So they're in the ring. We're all waiting in anticipation to see who comes out and helps Ronda, or if this is going to be a 3-on-1 handicap match. So, like, the Riot Squad's looking up at the Titantron, making fun of Ronda that no one's coming to help her. Ronda, like, you don't really know, can't really read her. The audience is just, heads are glued to the Titantron to see whose music's going to hit, who's going to come out here and help her. So, and just as you think that no one's coming out, Shayna Baszler music hits. I can tell you right now, that will get a pop versus anyone else coming out there. There is no one else that's going to get a bigger pop because everyone's waiting for this reunion to happen. Shayna Baszler comes out, so there's no one else comes out. So basically, it's a 3-on-2 handicap match. And I believe, in this storyline, to prevent the Riot Squad from looking weak, the Riot Squad should get the majority of the offense in this bout. With Ronda and Baszler, making them tap for the win. Obviously, it should be Ronda making them tap, not Baszler, because Ronda's the one, is featured as a main superstar, and Baszler's still NXT. But for this storyline, you can't tell me there's a better option or a better reaction you would get from the crowd. Alright, and then later in the night, you have the Women's Elimination Chamber match. It doesn't matter who the other 4 women competitors are in this match, because at the end, it should come down to Charlotte and Lynch. And I think as this match is going, and just as it's nearing its end, and it looks like Charlotte is actually going to win this match, Ronda, once again, comes out. Obviously, the women being stuck in a cage, there's nowhere for them to go. And here you see Ronda Rousey not only coming out and trying to get in this cage, she's carrying a kendo stick. She gets in the cage because obviously, hey, the referees let people in and out all the darn time, so she has no problem getting into this cage. And Becky is still the one down on the mat, not really knowing what's going on. Charlotte is like panicked. She's trapped. She tries to get out. She tries to get around Ronda, but Ronda catches her with the kendo stick, and Ronda gives her the beatdown that she received at Survivor Series, and just beat him. And then I think once Charlotte is down and out, if the kendo stick's not broke, which it may be broke at this point, knowing those two women. She turns it on Becky too and gives her a beatdown, or if not, just does some of her signature moves to Becky to keep her down. And this will essentially be Ronda getting her revenge on both Charlotte and Becky from the beatings she received from them months ago at this point. And then we see Ronda Rousey pick up Becky Lynch, put her over top of Charlotte for the cover, and the ref counts the 1, 2, 3. Becky Lynch is the winner, and at this point, it looks like it is Becky Lynch, and this is also what they're going to show on the animation screen of showing the WrestleMania. It will be Ronda Rousey versus Becky Lynch for the Women's SmackDown title. And this beatdown that Ronda Rousey gives Charlotte and Becky Lynch also allows them to both be written out off of TV for a while, and keeping them off the Fastlane pay-per-view, not having them come back until after Fastlane, which I think is a good point because Ronda is going to be featured at Fastlane, so to prevent them from being another like revenge, it's like 1-1 at this point, revenge wise. So let's keep them off Fastlane, and Ronda will have one last match at Fastlane to basically end her feud with Stephanie. And now on Raw, Stephanie McMahon makes one last attempt to take away Ronda's number one contendership. She makes a match at Fastlane for Ronda Rousey to face Nia Jax, and what I believe will be the first ever women's strap match. We have not seen one of these since John Cena and Rusev a couple of years ago. And it doesn't really matter the rule stipulation. You can still have it, be by pin or submission, or go back in time and do the having to hit the four corners. But Nia Jax is the perfect opponent. She's big. They call her the irresistible force. So you can see Ronda, Stephanie's mind, like, oh, she'd have a hard time. She can't get away from Nia. Nia, can use her power on her and stuff like that. It's the best opponent for a one-on-one match and not having to repeat a handicap match for the following pay-per-view. And obviously with the stipulation that if Nia Jax wins, Ronda loses her number one contendership and Nia Jax get the number one contendership. And you could pick whatever babyface Raw champion you want at this point you think that it will change the storyline. Alright, so now we're on SmackDown. Obviously, Becky Lynch and Charlotte are written off TV for a while, but Shane McMahon comes out. Shane McMahon at this point is just furious with Ronda Rousey, interfering in two now title matches between Becky Lynch and Charlotte, where they have not have, a clear-cut a winner, basically. So Shane basically says that it will be, at WrestleMania, Charlotte versus Becky Lynch for the women's title. And if Ronda Rousey can keep her number one contendership, that would make it a triple threat at WrestleMania. Alright, and then on to Fastlane. We had the Ronda Rousey versus Nia Jax in a strap match. So somewhere in this match, Stephanie McMahon needs to get her comeuppance. It just has to happen. It could either be, Ronda locking in an arm bar, some judo throws, throwing her through a table again, like she did in the last WrestleMania match that they had together. Something like that, just something that it kind of Ronda Rousey wins this match, and it ends. And it also ends the storyline between her and Stephanie. And that's a key thing, that it ends that. So the weeks leading up to the WrestleMania storyline, there's no longer stopping or anything. It's going to happen. There's no stopping it. We can just tell a story of this triple threat that's going to happen at WrestleMania. That's going to be the main event of WrestleMania. And I can't think of larger superstars in the WWE Universe to fight for this main event. All right, so we're at WrestleMania. And now the big question becomes, who wins this triple threat match? So first of all, originally, this whole thing was like, oh, book the main event of WrestleMania. But we actually have to book past WrestleMania because there's a lot of ramifications that come out of this match. So first off, who should be the winner of this match? If I'm putting on my WWE hat as I'm an employee and I care about the overall business of WWE, quite honestly, the person who should win this is Ronda Rousey, and that's not. And I know previously I said that hey, Ronda doesn't need a title to convey storyline. She's that big of a superstar. But in this scenario, it's bigger than just Ronda Rousey, the character, the person she is, or whatever. It is the fact that one, storylines need to be broken up. One, Ronda Rousey and Stephanie need to be separated. What better way to separate them than if Ronda gets transferred to SmackDown, and Stephanie obviously is stuck on Raw. The second thing is WWE is a huge thing coming up later on in 2019 where their SmackDown show is moving to Fox, and Fox is expecting them to pull big numbers. So what better way for WWE to help pull the numbers Fox is expecting out of them than having a legitimate athlete, not that saying the WWE superstars are not athletes, but having one that competed in UFC in such a prime focal point, put it that way, of the media. Having Ronda Rousey on SmackDown will help those numbers. So I think she has to win this match. And then I think following WrestleMania, during the Superstar Shakeup, Charlotte has to be drafted to Raw. It's kind of like Stephanie getting her revenge on her brother. Hey, you took our biggest superstar. I'm taking one of your biggest superstars in Charlotte over to Raw. And that will allow Charlotte to be separated from Becky Lynch. They fought for, at this point would be almost for close to a year fighting each other. So having Becky and Charlotte separated ends that from happening again and allows them to focus on some other storylines and some other superstars in that, the main event women's picture. Obviously, this will allow Ronda and Becky to finally have a singles match. I think there should be a follow-up to WrestleMania between Becky and Ronda. And then there should be a rubber match between Ronda and Becky at some point, either at Money in the Bank or find a way to keep them apart until SummerSlam. And if Becky's still as large of a superstar as she is right now with the fans, I think you have Becky win the rubber match and being the one who dethrones Ronda Rousey. But she gets such a huge pop, and it's good for WWE for their whole entire merchandising business, especially when it comes to women's wrestling. Alright guys, so that's how I would book WrestleMania 35 and thereafter. So if you guys like this story, give it a like. And if you didn't like it but found it creative, give it a like and leave your comments of how you would book it better or differently, or what you didn't like about the way that I booked it. I'd be curious to see how you guys view the way that I presented it, and what your guys' views are that'd be different than mine, and how you think there'd be a better main event out of the women, obviously, for WrestleMania. So that's it, guys. I appreciate you guys' time watching. Until next time, guys. Bye.